All right. Last week I spoke about precept upon precept, and today my sermon is titled "Here a little, there a little." Here a little, there a little, and we're going to go to the text we started with last week when we talked about it. So this is almost like a part 2, but I haven't titled it part 2, so it's a continuation of where we stopped last week. So let's go back to the foundational text we used in Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9 to 10. And we have been using it in our declaration and quoting from it, and now I'm preaching from it. The background, as I said last week, to this is that Isaiah the prophet prophesies about impending doom for Israel. He tells them that because of their apostasy and their love for sin and idolatry, the judgment was coming upon them. And then he tells them about how they were going to be taken into captivity. As Isaiah prophesies, there are other priests and prophets of his time who make fun of him because they are part of the problem that Isaiah is talking about. So they talk about the preaching of Isaiah and they make mockery of him in a way that he just keeps on repeating the same thing and saying the same thing and saying the same thing over and over. So the passage we are about to read is part of their criticism of the way Isaiah preached. In a sense, it also describes accurately the way Isaiah preached. So Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9 and 10, whom will he teach knowledge? And whom will he make to understand the message? Those weaned from milk, those just drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. It's almost like the way you criticize somebody who does things orderly. Everything is pepe and pepe and pepe. So if they were fantis or tree people, that's what they would have said. Precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. So Isaiah, when he ministered the word of God, was very systematic. He was repetitive. He kept saying the same things over and over again, because when people haven't understood a point, there is no need going to the next point. It's always important for you to repeat the same thing until it is grasped. And part of having order in our lives is that we have to be able to live precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. So what does the phrase, here a little, there a little mean? What does it mean? What does it imply? Now, if you look at the phrase itself, you realize that it is talking about a process. You don't see haste. If we want to build into the future, we have to do it here a little, there a little. And there are 3 concepts that emerge from that phrase. The first one is the concept of growth. Growth. Here a little, there a little means growth, to increase gradually. Gradual increase is at the heart of every real sustainable growth. Real growth is a slow process. You can't see it happening, but it happens. And I'm sure all of us used to have people comment on us growing when we were children. When I was a child, anytime adults who had not seen me for a long time saw me, one of the first things they would say is, "You're growing tall. The boy is growing." I say that to young people now, "You're growing." But when those older people told me I was growing, I didn't know I was growing. I thought I was just me. But they saw growth, because growth doesn't happen in jumps. It is very slow. So it takes some time, especially when people haven't seen you, to see whether you're growing. And it also happens when you're putting on weight. You don't see it until people say, hey, what's happening? Similarly, in the same way, spiritual growth also is slow. You can't see yourself growing spiritually. As you feed on the Word of God, as you fellowship with the Holy Spirit, you grow spiritually. And many times when you've been a Christian for some time, you don't see yourself growing spiritually until people begin to comment that something has changed about you, something is different about you, and then you realize that your whole understanding is changing. And then when you have problems, you solve them differently. And when situations come, the words that come out of your mouth are very different from the words that used to come out of your mouth. Slowly, you grow spiritually. In the same way, if you want to grow financially, you're going to grow slowly. Financial growth is not going to come by one instant you having all the money you need. It's going to grow slowly. Here a little, there a little. That phrase, here a little, there a little, means growth. It also means accumulation. Accumulation, to gather and to add up. Growth that is not lost will be accumulated and it will add up. You don't just lose your growth. You have to continue growing and adding up. Spiritually, we grow by adding up what we know in Christ. In 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 5 to 7, it says, but also for this very reason, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, to virtue knowledge, to knowledge self-control, to self-control perseverance, to perseverance godliness, to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. Add to your faith, accumulate. You add virtue over virtue over virtue. You grow from faith to faith, from glory to glory. So here a little, there a little means you're growing, but it's not just one-time growth. It is growth that adds up. It accumulates. And so it is spiritually, and so it is financially. If you want to grow, here a little, there a little, you're going to do it by adding up. And thirdly, here a little, there a little means diversification. Diversification. To vary and to grow. Here a little, there a little. From one end, a little here, a little there. You don't put all in one basket. It means you don't put everything in one place. Spiritually, you cannot grow in only one area of your life. You cannot just grow in faith and not grow in love. You cannot grow in love and not grow in prayer. You have to grow here a little, there a little. Diversify your spiritual growth. There are people who are full of faith and full of lies at the same time. So they've grown here a little, but not there a little. There is truth. They haven't grown there, but they've grown in faith. There are people who have grown in prayer and grown in gossip at the same time. So you grow in prayer, you must also grow in self-control. You grow in self-control, you must grow in holiness. So you keep growing here a little, there a little. Diversification. That's how it works spiritually, but it also works financially. If you want to grow financially, there has to be diversification. Here a little, there a little. You don't put all your eggs into one basket. So, when we talk about a 20-year plan, which is the background on which I'm speaking, you have to get the concept of here a little, there a little. You have to get that concept. The 20-year plan is not going to happen instantly. Your vision for 20 years is not going to happen instantly. What you want to have in the future will not happen instantly. It's going to happen here a little, there a little, precept upon precept, line upon line. It's systematic, it's process, it's procedure, it's structural, it's gradual, but it surely gets there. It surely gets there. And many times in life, when we want big things to happen to us, we're waiting for one big miracle. And that's why people get desperate. That one big miracle. Sometimes people want God to just, boom, give them a miracle, and all of a sudden all their problems are solved. It doesn't work that way. Even when God was fixing the earth, he didn't start day one and say, let there be light, let there be firmament, let there be grass, let there be, and let there be man. Day one, no. He starts day one, let there be light. Day two, let there be firmament. Day three, and so 4, 5, 6, and then he creates man. God works here a little, there a little, precept upon precept, line upon line. It's not going to happen instantly. And whilst I was preparing for this message, I was considering some of the things that have grown. The largest river in the world is the Amazon River. The Amazon River. The Amazon River is in South America. It is a huge river. It's not the longest, but it's the largest. The Amazon River provides 20% of the world's fresh water. It covers about 40% of South America. It's a huge river. And the Amazon basin, the space it covers in the Amazon area is 7 million kilometers squared. That's big. It pours tons and tons and tons of water into the ocean. The Amazon travels about 7 kilometers, and by the time it enters the Atlantic Ocean to deposit water, which is depositing every second, thousands and thousands of cubic meters of water. And by the time it gets there, its width is about 120 miles of water pouring into the ocean. It's a phenomenal sight. Those of you who watch things like National Geographic and so on, if you've seen the Amazon, it's just phenomenal. And the animals that live there and all of that. So I had never thought about it. I said, where does the Amazon start from? Where does it begin from? Because by the time everybody sees the Amazon, it's this huge river. It's supplying 20% of fresh water. Many animals live in its waters. Many people live on its banks, and it provides so much. It touches 3 different countries in South America. Where does this river start from? And so I did some research on it, and I found out that the Amazon starts from a cliff, a mountaintop in Peru, in a cliff called the Nevado Mismi. So I said, what is the Nevado Mismi? And where does this whole thing begin from? So I put together a little clip, just a little film, to just show where this huge river, which is bigger than Ghana and Nigeria put together, and Togo in between with Benin, all put together. This thing is bigger than all of us. Where did it start from? So I want them to play that clip for us quickly so we see where it starts from. The whole huge Amazon River starts as a trickle from that place and travels 7,000 kilometers. And in the process is built into various tributaries and provides 20% of all the fresh water in the world. Here a little, there a little. So you want to build a big Amazon? It's going to start small. There is power in smallness. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you very shortly in another illustration. So go to Zechariah chapter 4. verse 8 and 10. And then we look at Job chapter 8, verse 7. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 8 to 10. And Job chapter 8, verse 7. Now the prophet Zechariah was one of the prophets of Judah when they returned. And one of the things that happened when they had come back from captivity, remember Isaiah prophesied they were going to go into captivity. Now they have come back, and Zechariah is a young prophet who is prophesying to them about the time. And at this time they've returned after over 70 years in captivity, and nothing is working. The temple is broken, the walls are broken, and they start to build the temple. They lay the foundation of the temple, and the people look at the foundation of the temple. They remember the temple as a huge edifice. Now they're trying to rebuild the temple. They lay the foundation, and people really are not impressed. So this is what God spoke to Zechariah about. It says, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands shall also finish it. Then you will know that the Lord of hosts has sent me to you. For who has despised the days of small things? For these 7 rejoice to see the plumb line in the hand of Zerubbabel. They are the eyes of the Lord, which scan to and fro throughout the whole earth. Who has despised the day of small things? Then Job chapter 7, verse 8. This is what one of Job's friends said to him. He says, Job chapter 8, verse 7, 8:7, not 7:8, Job 8:7. Though your beginning was small, yet your latter end would increase abundantly. Though your beginning was small, yet your latter end would increase abundantly. All of us contend with smallness. Smallness is part of our lives. You never seem to have enough. I don't know about you, but throughout my life, I have never seemed to have enough. Never. For anything I've done in my life, never seem to have enough. You always have a big vision with small resources. And so what do you do when you have this big idea, but what you have in your hand is small? You want to be great, but you're small. Well, from Zechariah and Job, we learn a couple of lessons. First is that if you're going to really attempt to do great things, you have to believe in your small beginnings. You have to believe in your small beginnings. Your small beginnings could be the family you came out of. It could be the town or village you were born into. It could be the social standing of your family. It could be your limited education or your limited resources. Each one of us struggles with some small beginning, small capacity, small ability, small experience, small knowledge, small connections, small money, small family background. Sometimes you look at where your family left you, and you look at where you wish you could go to, and the distance is so far. Because your family, for generations, has never seen greatness. There are families that if you go generations into the past, has not even seen one person gone to university, one person build a house, one person live a comfortable life. It's just a family of depression. Then maybe you come to ICGC and you hear Pastor Otabil talk about vision. And so your vision is small, it's big, but your beginning is small. That's your small beginning. If you're going to do great things, you have to believe in your small beginnings. You don't allow your small beginnings to make you feel small about your God or your potential. And although your beginning is small, your God is very big. And when you have small beginnings, there will be mockers, there will be doubters, there will be threats, there will be people who would look down on you, but you must not despise yourself, even if people despise you. You have to believe in your small beginnings. If God wanted you to be born by the richest family, he could have done it easily. If God wanted you to be born in the nicest home, he could have done it easily. But he decided to show forth his manifold grace and power through your life by starting from the smallest place, because you are going to grow to be an Amazon river. And someday somebody is going to come to your source and say, look at where he started from and look at how far God has brought him. You don't despise your small beginnings, no matter what it is. If you're going to do great things, you have to begin with the little you have. You have to begin with the little you have. Don't wait for your little to grow before you begin. Start from where you are. Jesus fed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He didn't wait for the 5 loaves for somebody to give him 100 loaves or 1,000 loaves. He just took what he had and started with it. Our church began in a little classroom, in a small classroom in what is called the Kanda cluster of schools. We had nothing. No electricity in that classroom. No drum set. No sound system. No PA system. No guitar. No trumpet. Definitely no air conditioning. No projector. No TV screen. We had to beat on the tables of the children for drums. I beat on those tables so much, I had blood many times on my palm after church. But it wasn't a hard thing, it was just the joy of the Lord. Before that congregation, we declared that we're building a church. It is going to be international. We're going to build a university, and we're going to touch the world from where we are. You don't wait for things to be great to talk big. If you believe in a big God, you start with a little in your hand, but you believe that the end will greatly increase. Though your beginning was small, your latter end will increase abundantly. Our university, Central University, started as a Bible school in a small garage at Dansoma. Just a small garage for 1 car. No, it's not even a 2-car garage, it's a 1-car garage. In that 1-car garage, we put a whiteboard there and started a Bible school, put tables and chairs, and had 12 students sitting there to learn. But that school is now teaching 10,000 students. If you're waiting for a big classroom and a big plot of land, you will never start. You start with the little in your hands. The third thing we learn from those 2 passages is that you always have to build towards your big vision. Although you start small, you must dream big. Job was told, though your beginning was small, yet your latter end will greatly increase. That's good news for you and I. Keep your big vision in front of you. Keep the eyes on the big prize. And don't trade your big vision for short-term pleasure. Zerubbabel was encouraged. Although the foundation looks insignificant, the end will be great. The end will be great. It happens to all of us. You look at what you have and you compare with what others have. And many times we go home crying and weeping. I would never forget when I was in, I think I was in middle school, class 6 or middle school form 1. and we were doing a send-off for one of our teachers. Now, all my life until that time, I had never worn trousers before. I always wear shorts, and I assumed that everybody my age wore shorts. So when they were doing the send-off party for this teacher, I had my 3 best friends in class 6 came because my house was closer to where they were doing the send-off, and these friends came to pick me so that we go for the send-off party for our class teacher. And when they came, they were all wearing trousers, long trousers. I didn't think class 6 people wore trousers. And I felt so bad. I went to our room and I cried and cried and cried and cried. I said, I'm not going to the party again. I won't go to any party. I didn't have trousers. My mother came to encourage me the best way she could, both with threats and with love. So I went to iron my shorts, white shorts, and wore it. And there were 4 of us, 4 best friends. Trouser, 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 shorts. Though your beginning is small, you wear trouser. Now I'm wearing trouser today. I'm wearing trouser. I didn't wear shorts forever. Thank God. I'm wearing trousers. It took a long time, but finally, I'm wearing trousers. So if you see me wearing trousers, it's a huge breakthrough in my life. Big time breakthrough to wear trousers. You have to build towards your big vision. All of us struggle with what we have and what other people have. And sometimes we cry. Sometimes we go into depression. Sometimes we despise ourselves because what we have is small. Exodus chapter 23, verse 27 and 30. This is what God said to Israel when they were going to the promised land. He says, I will send my fear before you. I will cause confusion among all the people to whom you come, and will make all your enemies turn their backs to you. I will send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, the Hittite from before you. Verse 29, I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. Little by little, I will drive them out from before you until you have increased and you inherit the land. The whole land is yours, but God says it's not going to happen 1 year. You're going to do it little by little. Your vision will be taken little by little. Your dream will become real little by little. A few years ago, I came across a concept which I thought wasn't possible. But I read it, and I kept reading, trying to cross-reference and research. It was about the power of folding a paper. If you just had a paper like this one, just a piece of paper, A4, and you could fold it. You fold it once, you fold it twice. Now, if you could fold it 40 times, how high would this be? Now, many people would say, well, it would be like that if you fold it 50 times, 40 times, or 42 times precisely. But what I read said if you could fold this paper 42 times, the length of that paper, the width of it, will be the distance from Earth to the moon. Yeah? I said, that's not possible. Oh, yes, it's possible. It's scientific fact. If you could fold this 42 times, if you fold it 52 times, you get to the sun. If you fold it 90 times, you get to the end of the universe. I know you don't believe me. I know you don't believe. I'm not going to stand here and lie to you. You don't believe. You say, the same thing. I say, that's not possible. By the way, you can't fold any paper more than 7 times. because by that time, it gets difficult. A few people have tried it and it's worked, but the maximum you can do on this earth is to fold paper 12 times over. You can't do it more than 12. For you to do that, you're going to need paper that is as big as the universe. But theoretically, if you can fold this paper 42 times, it will be the distance from the planet Earth to the moon. And I could work the mathematics for you, but I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not going to work it for you. But it illustrates the power of exponential growth. The power of exponential growth. And you can go online and just Google fold paper 42 times. And you have all the theories set out there. Power of exponential. It doesn't make sense to the mind, but it's true. And I use that same power just to talk about the way money can grow. Money can grow over 41 years. And the concept I'm going to illustrate on the screen to you, and I spent much of this week with my calculator working out all the numbers, so I know these numbers are correct. I'm not a mathematician, but the calculator doesn't lie. If I had one Ghana city, one helpless, miserable, dirty, red Ghana city, and I could double it in a year, and whatever amount I get, I double it in 1 year, how much do you think the money would be in 40 years or 41 years? One Ghana city, I double it next year, double it next year. For 40 years, how much is it going to be? I'm going to show it on the screen right now. Okay. All right. So let's start. So first year, you have one Ghana city. So that's all you have in 1 year. The next year, second year, let's go. It's 2 cities. The next year is 4 cities. It's not much. The next year, fourth year, it's 8 cities. Next year, 16. Next year, 32. Next year, 64. It's just 1 plus 1, 2. 2 plus 2, 4. 3 plus... No. Next year, 9th year, 128. 256, 9th year. By the 10th year, it's 512 cities. It's not a lot of money, is it? Then we go to the 11th year. By the 11th year, it is 1,024 cities. That is, you've doubled the amount every year, not every day, just every year, 1 whole year. You have, by the 11th year, 1,024. Now, it's a long process, so I'm not going to show you the rest. I will only show you 10-year intervals from there. So, by the 12th year, it will be 2,048. The 13th year, 4,096. The 14th year, 8,192. The 15th year, 16,384. The 16th year, 32,768. The 17th year, 65,536. The 18th year, 131,072. The 19th year, 262,144. The 20th year, 524,288. The 21st year, that's the 10 years after, is 1,048,576. Now it gets sweeter. The 22nd year is 2,097,152. The 23rd year, 4,194,304. The 24th year, 8,300,000. 388, and I won't mention the rest, it's getting too long. 25th year, 60,777,000. The 26th year, 33,555,000. The 27th year, 67,108,000. The 28th year, 134,217. The 39th year, 268 million and 400 and something. 30th year, 536 million and 870. The 31st year is 1,073,741,824. By the 32nd year, it's 2.1 billion. 33rd year, 4.2 billion. 34th year, 8.5 billion. 35th year, 17.1 billion. 36th year, 34.3 billion. 37th year, 68.7 billion. 38th year, 137 billion. 39th year, 274.8 billion. 40th year, 543.7 billion. The 41st year is 1 trillion. Imagine if that was your investment. Though the beginning is small, yet the latter end will greatly increase. You can start from the Nevada Missy and produce the Amazon. That is if you're working with 100%. Now, if you're not working with 100%, it will be slightly less than this, but it is very impressive. What I learned is that if you allow things to grow, they really grow. So, what would have happened if you were doing such an investment and you cashed out all your investment after the 11th year? After the 11th year, you would only have 1,024. That's not a lot of money after 11 years. But if you just waited 10 more years, it would have been 1,048,000. The difference between the 11th year and the 21st year is 1,047,552. Just wait 10 years. Now, if you waited another 10 years, the difference goes into billions, 1,673,000,000. And then the other one is way out there. So, can you imagine somebody, I've worked in places, and I work in the church and work in places. And one of the things I've seen, most workplaces, they have maybe Social Security Fund and they have Provident Fund. And most people I've seen is, they start with their Provident Fund, they contribute 5 years, and then they cash the money. And then they start again, and then they cash the money. Or they start 10 years, they cash the money. Now, if you look at this project, by the 10th year, it doesn't seem like you're doing much. The breakthrough happens from the 21st year, and the 31st year, and the 41st year, and the 51st year. Now, if that amount was allowed to grow for 100 years, you couldn't, I don't think my calculator can calculate it. So, if you start a savings program, a project, and you save for 1 year and cash your money, you've wasted your money and wasted your time and wasted everybody's time. Because the power is not in the immediate cashing, it has been allowing the thing to grow over a certain number of years. The threshold is 21 years. But if you really want to go 31 years or 41 years, that means that if your child today was born and you started investing for the next 40 years of your child's life, that your child, by the time they are 40, would have access to wealth beyond your dream and their dream. And if you're smart, you will not put all of it into his hands. There are ways to manage all of that. The point I'm trying to make to you is that, one, you can start small and you can grow. And the principle is, don't cut short the growth process. Because if you have short-term agenda, you would never accumulate anything. We see it. If the Amazon River at the source is dammed, it would not be that big river. If somebody decides, I would not let it flow, I'm going to drink all the water from this source, it will just feed a family. But if you allow it to flow for 7,000 kilometers, it's going to be a huge river, providing 20% of all the fresh water in the earth. You want to be a millionaire? It's easy. You're not going to steal it. You're not going to beg for it. But you can develop a program. You may not hit it in 20 years. You may not hit it in 30 years. But I can guarantee you, I've done all the mathematics. I've computed it. I've been doing it for weeks. And I can guarantee you the average person, if they were able to commit to a 40-year plan of savings, their retirement will be sweet. This process where some of you have, where you start saving, some of you cash in your Social Security, you cash in your Provident Fund, you cash in your investment to go and buy a car, to go and buy a furniture, to go and buy a TV. You are drinking your Amazon. You are drinking your Amazon. You have to allow the thing to flow. So part of the order I want everybody to bring into their lives: don't cash your investments. You say, Pastor, I need money. It won't solve your money problem, because by the time you cash it, it's insignificant. We saw it by the 10th, 11th year, that thing is just 1,000 something. It's insignificant. But if you allow it another 10 years, look at what it becomes. Allow it another 10 years, it's now mind-boggling. Another 10 years, you can't even write down the figures. I wish that was my number. 1 million. 1 trillion. I don't 1 trillion cedis, no matter how much the cedi depreciates against the dollar. A trillion is a trillion. Except a Zimbabwean trillion. But a Ghanaian trillion is a good trillion. I mean, the dollar can be 1 cedi to 100. A trillion is a trillion. If you discount it by 100, you still have some decent money to work with. You can build your resources, but you have to delay gratification. You have to hold your appetite. You have to stop competing with people for shoes and clothes, and competing with people for food, and trying to impress people with these things. If you can hold yourself, there's nothing more annoying than a poor person who is competing. You are poor. You're competing with cloth and shoes. Somebody buys shoe. I let her know that me too, I can buy a shoe. You are wearing your Amazon. Some of you have been eating your Amazon. You've been drinking your Amazon, wearing your Amazon, driving your Amazon, watching your Amazon. If you had just waited a little bit, it's amazing what you should grow. Amen.